You know that feeling you get when you keep putting off your diet, your workout, or even something as simple as just like getting the grocery shopping done? And you can't quite explain why you procrastinate on it because you know it's important and you tell yourself you really want to achieve it. So it doesn't make sense to your poor brain. So you come up with excuses and you'll tell yourself things like, I'm too busy or I'm too tired, or maybe life is just too hectic right now. There's usually more than one excuse, right? I know this feeling very well. And when I catch myself in that mindset, I remind myself there is never a really good excuse for procrastinating on something that I think is important. And I have simply become entangled in something that I call the emotional chain of procrastination. The chain starts the moment I look at the whole task, like the whole pie, every single step, all at once. This is what I call stage one, overwhelm. It feels big and heavy and instantly discouraging. And from there, it's a slippery slide into stage two, which is the lack of clarity. And that's that foggy feeling that I don't know where to start. Then that uncertainty will open the door to stage three, which is the fear of failure. Or it could just be the fear of wasting your time when your brain whispers to you, what if I put in all this effort and it doesn't work? And then that brings us to stage four. And this is the stage that really sabotages us. And I call this the all or nothing thinking. And that's when we say to ourselves, if I can't do it right, I'm not going to start at all. Now it all makes sense because I'm not lazy, I'm being strategic. Great. Now that leads me to stage five, which is forget it, I'll start later. And now I feel like I've logically made sense of the situation and I'm going to make a better plan and start later. And this gives me or you, when you're doing this, an instant feeling of relief because it feels much better than that initial feeling of dread when we were looking at the whole picture. But here's what I've learned, that this is not strategy. It's just my comfort zone disguised as logic. And I have been here so many times, and I know that I'm not lazy, at least not usually. It's because I tend to bite off more than I can chew. And this might be starting to resonate with you. When your goal feels too big, your brain is going to try to protect you by avoiding that kind of discomfort. And then it tries to make sense of the feeling with all these excuses that you come up with. That's exactly where my concept of micro actions come into play. And though I didn't make up micro actions, we've been told to break things down and chunk them down for a long time. I've just simplified it a little bit. So I truly believe that these small actions are the cure for procrastination. And in the anti-sabotage plan, I teach that every decision you make either moves you closer to your goal or further away. And if it moves you closer to your goal, I call this a green action. If it moves you further away, I call this a red action. And when you're stuck in procrastination or overwhelm, the key is not to push harder, is to shrink down the task. And that's why we call them micro actions. They're just tiny, doable steps that build momentum instead of pressure. So my favorite place to start is with something I call the next best step. Literally, what is the next best action that you can take? So instead of trying to come up with the whole plan and do everything at once, the logic here is to start small. And here's what I do, and you can try it too. Sit quietly for a moment, no pressure to do anything, not yet, anyhow, and ask yourself, What's the one small thing I can do right now that points me towards my goal? Then write it down. Now, all you have to do is say to yourself, I can do that. And maybe you won't do it right in this very minute, and that's okay. But simply pointing yourself in that direction and then declaring that you can do it, it flips some sort of switch in your brain. And what happens is now we've moved from avoidance to intention, and that is so powerful. Because now that you have written it down and said that you can do it, the chances are so much higher that you actually will follow through. So a simple example of this is if your goal, for example, is to start a weight loss plan, your next action, your next best action might be to clean out one cupboard, or maybe it's just to write a list of healthy foods, or you could even just prep one meal for tomorrow. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be complete. It just has to move you like one notch closer to your goal. And each small action that you do builds energy and confidence. Every green micro action you take will strengthen your follow through muscle and weakens that old habit of procrastination. And honestly, if you keep stacking those small steps, those small, simple actions, before long, you can look back and realize you did not wait for motivation. You actually created it. So if this message hit home with you, you can check out my anti-sabotage plan. It's a very simple, practical plan built on just common sense and a little sprinkle of brain science, and the link is in the description below. Or if you just want to learn more about my plan and how I use micro green actions and red actions, then please subscribe and like this video, and I will keep posting.